Hola, hola. My name is Ramon, cosmetic chemist, esthetician, lover of a good sunscreen deal. And today we're talking about arguably some of the most interesting sunscreen bargains in the US specifically. If you live in the US and you've gone to a Kroger supermarket or Kroger branded supermarket, you've probably seen these. And I've actually reviewed one of these on my channel ages ago. We're talking years at this point. And today we're talking about two Kroger options for sunscreen. I have the Kroger Sunscreen Invisible Gel SPF 40 and the Kroger Shimmer Sunscreen Hydrating Cream SPF 40 as well. So the tea with these is that, so Kroger is a supermarket chain in the US, but it's more so you have Kroger and then they also have like sub brands that are more regional. So like in Seattle, it's QFC, in Colorado, it's City Market, in LA, I believe it's Ralph's, I think. And so in those you have like the regular name brand products and you have like Kroger branded products. And in the last few years, Kroger's come out with sunscreen options. And the tea is that these are not like Kroger's own sunscreens. These are basically dupes for very, very popular, very viral sunscreens. For reference, so the Invisible Gel, which I'll get into a little bit in the video, is a dupe for the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen, while the Shimmer Sunscreen Hydrating Cream is a dupe for the Glow Screen. And they don't shy away from it. Literally on the top of the sunscreens, it literally says, compared to the active ingredients of Supergoop's Glow Screen and an Unseen Sunscreen. So they want you to know, like, these are very similar. So today we're gonna talk about it and get into it. For those of you watching, these are both chemical sunscreens, so I'm gonna be using my 6Fs testing rubric where I talk about the feel, finish, filters, formulation, foundation wear, and fragrance of the sunscreens. For the application footage, I weigh out using my little 1/4 teaspoon and scale the amount of sunscreens I need for my face. If you want to know how much sunscreen you need to wear for your face, I'll have a card up here for that video explaining that whole thing. And obviously I'll have timestamps for both sunscreens down below so you can fast forward to whatever part you would like to see. Also, I just want to say, I don't review Supergoop on my channel, and Supergoop's one of those brands where I don't love the marketing. I don't love the marketing of the brand necessarily. I think what they've done as a brand is really, really amazing in terms of it's gotten a lot of people very excited to wear sunscreen and very interested in sunscreen, and it gets them to understand the importance of sunscreen. On the one hand, I'm like, they just charge so much for their sunscreens, and I think it's a very like luxury, high-end sunscreen, and therefore that's why I don't love to talk about it. But on the other hand, I have talked about sunscreens that are more high-end and more luxury, so I can't necessarily be two-faced about that. But more so, it's basically the marketing of the brand I just don't like to get behind. It's a lot of teetering on greenwashing, and that's basically the tea on that. That being said, are there Supergoop sunscreens that I think are great? Yeah, like their Play sunscreen, the fact that you can get like a freaking gallon tub of that, amazing. And I have admitted on the channel there are some products from them I think are very interesting. But if you've ever wondered why I don't talk about Supergoop on the channel, that's pretty much why. There's a little roster of brands I don't talk about on my channel, basically for that specific reason. I'll let you guess which ones those are, but yeah, let's get into the review. So first one we're gonna be talking about is the Kroger Invisible Gel Sunscreen. This is SPF 40. This is a dupe of the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. Another thing to bring up right now, sorry, a lot of notes, is I don't necessarily believe in dupes a lot for skincare because it teeters on well, what exactly is a dupe? What's the purpose of a dupe? And then in skincare, a lot of ingredients can do similar effects. So I just don't love seeing that necessarily for a skincare product. But this is the one situation where I'm like, okay, this is very much a dupe, especially because they low-key have a very, very similar formulation. That was their whole objective. So this is a dupe of the Unseen Sunscreen SPF 40. This is water resistant for 80 minutes. This is SPF 40 broad spectrum. This specifically is 89 mil or 3 fluid ounces. This is $10. And honestly, depending on what Kroger supermarket you go to and what day of the week it is, you'll probably get it for a lot cheaper. I think I actually just bought this one, I think 2 months ago, and this was on sale for about $8. So you can get them on sale. And again, for 90 mil, that's a deal. That's a steal. That's a bargain. So marketing wise for this, if I go to the Kroger brand website, Kroger doesn't give a lot of tea on this, but basically Invisible Gel provides broad spectrum protection against sun's harmful UVA, UVB rays, helps to moisturize sensitive skin on the face and neck, lightweight. They use Reef Conscious a lot, which is very interesting. Reef Conscious as opposed to Reef Safe. Interesting marketing. It's an easy on gel that's water resistant. So in terms of the feel of this, so this is very similar to the Unseen Sunscreen from Supergoop. If you're not familiar, first of all, I recommend shaking these up just because sometimes there's a little bit of an oil separation from the sunscreen, so do shake up. You can see it comes out on the back of my hand. It's like a little bit of a silicone gel texture. This one is colored. The Supergoop one, I don't believe it is colored. But for reference, another sunscreen throw in from Trader Joe's. These all exist in the same world because they are a specific texture that is very similar to a silicone primer. You can see the Trader Joe's one is clear. The Kroger one is not. not. And the tint from this, the color from this is not from iron oxides. I'm not 100% sure what that coloring is from, especially because the UV filters in this, they don't have a color. Most of them are all clear. But you can see as you apply it on, it spreads really easily. It goes on completely clear. This one I am 100% certain is dark skin friendly, so no white cast issue. And it works in very, very nice, but it has that feel of a primer. Like it feels like a very silicone primer. And even just looking at the ingredients like isododecaine, dimethicone cross polymer, hydrated silica. So a lot of things that are meant to give you that nice slip, that nice slide on the skin, help to blur pores and help to prep your skin well for makeup. Like a very primary feel on the skin. If you don't like that feel, this might not be for you. So if you've tried the Supergoop sunscreen, the Kylie Jenner sunscreen, the Trader Joe's sunscreen, and those are not the feel for you, this is not the one. Does this feel exactly like those though? No. This one to me has a little bit more of a richness in the body to it, but it still feels lightweight on the skin. But it works into the skin very easily. And in terms of the feel, because it is a little bit more rich, I do not wear moisturizer with this. This actually, in my mind, has a nice moisturizing texture to it. So that is definitely worth noting. And then the finish, let me tell you, this is arguably the mattest sunscreen I have ever used. Like when I was doing the application footage for this, I had not used a sunscreen in a while. I've reviewed this before. I do like it. I do recommend it, but I just had not used it in a long time. And I told my husband, oh, buy one for me so I can try it out. I put it on, and in the application footage, I was gagged at how matte it was on my skin. This is so matte. And I specifically like this for summertime. I first tried this when I was living in Chicago. It was humid, it was summer, and I'm like, oh, this is good. This is nice. The filters of this, it is an American sunscreen, so just note that. For the filters, it does use avobenzone 3%, homosalate 11%, octosalate 5%, and also Krylene 10% for that SPF 40 broad spectrum protection. For the formulation of this, not a lot really going on there, really. It has vitamin E, it has aloe. This is alcohol free. This does have orange peel oil. This does have that essential oil, and let me tell you, oh girl, the smell of this is intense. It's very present in there. I have heard from people, I mean, first of all, it's an American chemical sunscreen. Second of all, you do have that orange peel oil. If you have a very sensitive eye area, like I'm talking orbital area or just sensitive skin in general, this might not be the option for you. And I will say, this is a formula that's water resistant. It does set down, I have noticed. So if you've used the Unseen sunscreen, if you've used the Trader Joe's sunscreen and you find that those set down nicely around the eye area and don't move into your eye, this could be a good option for you if you're looking for a more affordable option. But yeah, if you have very sensitive skin, this might not be for you. And then other formulation things, realistically, not much else going on. So it's a fairly simple formulation. So eye sting, if you are prone to eye sting from essential oils or from chemical filters, do note yes. For makeup wear for this, gorgeous. Oh my God, this preps the skin. It's so nice for makeup. Again, it's matte. If you got oily skin and you don't mind a chemical sunscreen, run and grab this. And also, it just preps the skin well for makeup in that it already has that primary quality to it, and it helps with a little bit of a pore texture situation. So makeup glides on easy. Your makeup's gonna look good and silky all day long. Like, it's good. I would not reapply this over makeup though. Tried it, do not recommend. And then for fragrance, even applying this on the back of my hand right now, like it's a very intense smell. I don't remember it smelling that strong on my face. And like, honestly, I have no issue with fragrance, but do note that it does have that orange essential oil in there, and it is a very pronounced aroma, so it might be intense for you. Yeah, this, a banger. Completely worth the $10. Definitely run and grab this. So now let's get on to the Shimmer sunscreen. Again, this is from Kroger, their Shimmer Sunscreen Hydrating Cream. This is new to me. I bought this when I was in Seattle back in February when I was shopping at Fred Meyer, which is another Kroger sub-brand. I was gagged because I hadn't seen anyone talk about this, but as I mentioned earlier, this is a dupe for the Supergoop Glow Screen SPF 40. So biggest difference is looking at the packaging for this. First of all, this one says hydrating cream. The other one was invisible gel, so already very different details of that. SPF 40 broad spectrum, not water or sweat resistant, the invisible gel was. Promises to moisturize and protect with hyaluronic acid, vitamin B5, panthenol, and niacinamide. And yeah, it just says it's going to hydrate and protect and moisturize. $10 for this full price. I bought this for $8 on sale for 90 ml. Great deal. And the marketing from Kroger itself, it's that this hydrates an even skin tone, leaving your skin feeling and looking more fresh as it protects. This lightweight sunscreen leaves the skin with this little glow and features hyaluronic acid and B5 to leave skin softer and niacinamide to reduce the appearance of pores. And then it just talks about how the moisturizing sunscreen combines the best of skincare with effective broad spectrum sunscreen protection. So the feel and finish of this, so when I applied this on screen, you can see it has a tint to it. So this does have a little bit of a coloring to it, but this coloring is due to iron oxides. So this is technically a tinted chemical sunscreen. And you can see when I work into the skin though, it works in very easily to my skin tone. I'm a Fenty 290 for reference. Melts in, no issue. issue, and it has a moisturizing feel to it. Like, it is a hydrating, like, cream texture. And so just note that it's already a very different feel from the other one. This feels like it's going to moisturize. It's a more nourishing vehicle. And the finish of it is it's glowy. First of all, it's a shimmer sunscreen. It already has the visual shimmer effect from actual like shimmer, but also it's a moisturizing cream. So I'm already just very, very glowy. So if you have dry skin, normal to dry skin, this could be a good option. If your skin is just drier due to the winter weather, another good option. If you have oily skin, don't recommend necessarily, except for certain reasons, but I'll explain that later. And so yeah, feel, it's a moisturizing texture. Finish, it's glowy because of shimmer and because of the actual cream texture. The filters of this, again, it's a chemical sunscreen. So you got avobenzone 3%, octisalate 5%, and octocrylene 10% for that SPF 40 broad spectrum protection. And then formulation of this, again, it's a little bit more simple, not much going on, but this one does have, as I mentioned earlier, iron oxide and titanium dioxide for that tint. It does have niacinamide. It also has ferulic acid, which is interesting. And in terms of formulation, one thing to point out is that this says vitamin B5 on the front. In my head, panthenol. This doesn't have panthenol in it directly, but it does have an ingredient called calcium pantothenate, which I've never heard of or seen before. What I'm wondering if it's like some sort of combination of calcium and panthenol, in that it goes through some sort of enzymatic reaction on the skin or whatever, and it helps to aid in skin moisturization in the form of like a natural moisturizing factor. I don't know, very interesting. If you've heard of this ingredient, sound off in the comment section. That's new to me. But aside from that, it does have ferulic acid, which is a really great antioxidant. Surprised to see that. It has tocopherol, vitamin E, niacinamide. It has glycerin, phospholipids to aid in skin moisturization, L-arginine, which is an amino acid, so natural moisturizing factor as well, and sodium hyaluronate. So it's a very hydrating, moisturizing formula overall with pretty considerable amount of some antioxidant protection, plus the iron oxides in there, which are something I personally like to see, especially if you're targeting pigmentation. Iron oxides are what give colored cosmetics, so foundations, concealers, bronzers, all that. So it gives them their tint and their coloring, and that's what it aids in making those skin colors in cosmetics. So I love to see those in sunscreen products because it aids in providing blue light or high energy visible light protection. Very, very, very effective in that regard. This is also alcohol and fragrance free, which is great to know. It has a slight smell to it, but realistically, I wouldn't put that above it just being like the raw materials. So alcohol free, fragrance and essential oil free, eye stinging. So here's the deal with this one. Granted, I did test this out when I had a very compromised like orbital area. This is not water and sweat resistant, as I mentioned with the other one. So it's not going to like set down heavy duty like a water and sweat resistant sunscreen will. So this might have the potential to more easily migrate into the eye area. On top of that, if you're already sensitive to US chemical sunscreens, this will potentially irritate your skin and your eyes. For me, I found that it actually did get into my eye a little bit, and it didn't burn my eye, but I was like, okay, I have like an oil in my eye, but it did sting around my like orbital area. So do note that if you have a very sensitive eye area or you have sensitive eyes or skin, it also might not be the best option for you. And in terms of foundation, so here's the deal. I love a sunscreen product like this, even though I do have oily skin. It has to be a little bit more season appropriate maybe, or just prepping my skin a certain type of way to make this work. But a glowy sunscreen like this, especially one that has shimmer in it, for me, how that works is that because you have that shimmer, it's going to basically refract light and create a more optical illusion of a more even skin tone. So that way when you go on top of the foundation, you already have a little bit of coverage underneath, and or you need less coverage from your base product. So you can get away with a lighter coverage foundation or just less product overall, and it makes your skin just look a little bit more like juicy, like fresh and healthy. So I do personally love that. So for me, having oily skin, I'll do this, a matte product on top, very, very matte makeup on top. So matte powder, matte setting spray. I'm gonna be good. But overall, yeah, it's moisturizing texture, so it already preps the skin great for makeup. Reapplying over makeup, I would not recommend still. But again, no issues with pilling, with texture, or with foundation wear overall. But do note this, if you have oily skin and you don't love a very moisturizing texture, I would not recommend this under your makeup because you might get shinier faster. And then fragrance, as I mentioned earlier, this does not have any fragrance or essential oil compounds in there. It does have a smell, but to me that smell is more like industrial raw material, so do with that what you will. When I wear it, that smell doesn't bother me because I feel like it dissipates very quickly. So talking about the two Kroger sunscreens, I actually did half-face application for these, and I'll show that on screen right now. The invisible gel, matte. Love the finish of this. The feel of this on my skin, I don't mind, but if you have an issue with that like very primary silicone feel, might not be the best option for you, but also it's water and sweat resistant. Do love. It does have silica in it, and it does have a couple other ingredients that will help mattify. I personally didn't have an issue with when I sweat it getting like the powdery white marks on my skin, and I don't think I've heard of anyone with deeper skin tones complain about that. But if you have, please comment down below in the comment section. This to me wins, especially if you have oily skin. The Shimmer Sunscreen Hydrating Cream. I honestly love the texture and finish of this just because I don't mind a very moisturizing sunscreen, and I love a tinted chemical sunscreen. But if you have oily skin, just know this is very, very moisturizing. It is intended to be radiant and glowy. So you have that glow from the moisturizing texture. You also have the glow from the shimmers in this. So just note that it might not be the best for you. Also on deep skin, this can translate as like very chromy, because you basically have like, if you have deep skin, if you put on a highlighter that's way too light for you, that kind of effect, just because you have to put on so much to get the SPF protection, and then you have so much shimmer on your face. So unless you're wearing makeup over this, I wouldn't recommend for deep skin, bare skin. And also it is not water and sweat resistant, so do note that as well. I do like these a lot. There's a time and place for each of these, but if you have sensitive skin, I don't think either of these are going to be a good option for you unless you specifically put a different sunscreen option around your eye area. But for less than $10, I am not going to complain. These were a really good sunscreen option. I've loved this for a very long time. For a few years now, I've recommended this, and I still recommend this. I was actually gagged at how good it was. I completely forgot. And this one is nice. I do like this. I just think it's meant for a very specific audience and for a very specific reason. But overall, no complaints. Both home runs. Do like these from Kroger, and I don't love saying it, but I think these are really nice alternatives for their Supergoop counterparts. So yeah, if you've tried these in the comment section, sound off and tell me about your opinions of them. Also, stay tuned. Do subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I have a lot of American affordable sunscreen options that I'll be reviewing over the next few weeks, and just in general, some great European and Asian options as well. So a lot of sunscreen content coming soon to a YouTube screen near you. Subscribe for those. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and beauty related content on my channel. Give the video a thumbs up, and thanks for watching, guys. Bye.